Shalom, I'm Nama Ru. This is my husband, Rabbi David Ru. And today we're talking about the holiness of the produce that grows in the Holy Land during the 7th year of the 7-year cycle, the Shmita Year, and how we harvest these vegetables and fruits that have innate sanctity to them.
Starting as a background, as we've had this pasuk many times, Shabbos haaretz lechem leochla, and the sabbatical year will be for you to eat. So you're supposed to eat. On the other hand, as the Sifra and Bahar, the very beginning of the parsha, states, V'yas inve Niziricha lo tevtzor, that you're not supposed to harvest the grapes of your vineyard. So the Sifra says on that pasuk, min hashamur ba'aretz ein botzer, from that which is guarded in your land. Someone puts a fence around and doesn't let people come in. From that, you're not supposed to harvest. Aval botzer min mufkar, but people, the land, the vineyards that have been made ownerless, the land that's been made ownerless, that you're allowed to harvest from. And it continues, lo tevtzor, you will not harvest. Lo tevtzor kederech abotrim. You don't harvest the way people harvest, in the normal way. The Yirushalmi is very similar to this. I'll read it quickly. Sfiach kצירך lo תבצור וישים נזיריך lo תבצור. So the same pasuk, that what's left over from your harvest, meaning what grows by itself and so on, you won't let harvest, and the grapes you will not harvest. Min השמור בארץ ein botzer, from that which is guarded, which is held, which the owner holds onto it in the Shemitah, you're not allowed to harvest. Aval botzer ata min hamufkar. But you can harvest from what's ownerless. Lo tivtor kederech habotrim. You don't harvest the way people harvest. Mikan Amru, from here they said, and we give a whole series of examples that's a little bit difficult for us to understand, and I don't feel the need to try and explain it. The various ways they used, normal ways that they used to harvest in ancient times, you're supposed to do it in a slightly different way.
A shinui?
With a shinui, yes. So there are 4 different opinions on how to understand these things among the Rishonim, and we'll take a look at them. First, the Rambam. It always takes precedence when we're examining halacha. So in Perek Dalet Halacha Kaf Beis from Hilchot Shmita Yovel, Haperish yotzi ha'ilan b'shvis lo yasvim kederech she'osef b'kol shana. The fruit that the trees give in the Shmita year, you're not allowed to gather them in the way you gather them every year. Shnamar v'yas invei niziricha lo tevtzor, and your harvest, your grapes, you will not harvest. V'im bוצר la'avodas ha'ilan or shebetzar kederech abotrim loke. And if you harvest it to improve the tree, which we normally call pruning, or you harvest it the way normal people harvest, you're given lashes. It's a fairly serious transgression.
Who gives the lashes?
The Beis Din would give lashes or something. The person would have to be warned, and they get malchus. So
they don't do that now.
No, we don't have such a Beis Din anymore.
And there are plenty of people that don't go by this who are Jewish in Israel, right?
I have no idea what people do. I assume people keep the halacha. Okay. The Ramban, in his Perush on Chumash, says, Shelo yishmerim la'atzmo. You're not allowed to guard these things to keep them for yourself. Aval gilkot osam im ha'anim, but you can harvest them along with the poor. Behefker, like their ownerless. V'yinhog behem, gam ken kederech sha'anim nohagim, and you have to treat them the way the poor do. Dorkan ba'areva, for the grapes, you don't press them in a grape press, but in a vat, because the poor don't have enough to use a grape press, or they can't afford a grape press, and so on. V'ken ha'inyan she'amru she'ein kotzitzim ha'ta'anim b'mokceya, and so too we've said we do not cut the figs with the maktzeh, it's a special tool for this. V'lo dorchim ha'anavim begat, and you do not walk on the grapes in the grape vat. Keder ve'asmachta midivrehim. This is all rabbinic legislation, the Rambam says. Kadei shelo yavo lidei shimor, so you won't guard it. Ve'asifa saperus v'yigzol osaminanim, and gather the fruit up and steal them from the poor. Meaning, if I can do an industrial production, I end up stealing them from the poor, because I'll do my normally industrial production. The poor won't get anything out of it. And the halach is the poor have to get from it as well. It's for everyone to eat. And so the Rambam is saying you can't do this. The Kurkus, we talked about him once. He was one of the exiles from Spain in 1492. And he is a commentary on the Rambam. Shelo yishmerim la'atzmo. You're not allowed to guard the fruit for yourself. Aval gilkot osam imhanim behefker. You can gather them along with the poor as if they're ownerless, meaning the poor own them as much as you do. V'yinahog behem gam ken kederech she'anim nohagim lidroch osam ba'ariva. And you have to process them the same way the poor do. The grapes are in a trough, not in a wine press. V'geder ve'asmachta ba'almahu. And he says this is again rabbinic legislation. Shelo yavo lidei shimor ve'asifa saperos, so that you don't come to gather them all up for yourself. Mikhén lefi zeh lo tevtzor kederech abotrim. You're not allowed to harvest other things the way they harvest. Mufkar shehitiru ka'amar v'hu das Rabbeinu. From those things that are, even those things that are ownerless, I still can't do a professional harvest. 2 opinions so far. Third opinion, the Rash Silvero, who we also learned was one of the exiles from Spain, in his parish in the Mishnayos. V'kula masnisin arish b'Torahs Kohanim, and this entire Mishnah was explained in the Torahs Kohanim, in the Sifra that we quoted at the beginning. As it says, Lo tevtzor kederech abotrim, you're not allowed to harvest the way the harvesters do. Mikhén ata omer te'ena shel shavis ein kotzimos במוקצה. You're not allowed to harvest the figs in their normal way. V'kula masnisin ma'isi hasam v'kol ma de'asrinan hacha hainu min hameshumar. And what we're talking about, everything that's prohibited is only from that which is guarded. Aval min hamufkar shari ki orchei k'demuchach b'Yerushalmi. But you're allowed to harvest things in the normal way if they're ownerless. So he's different than what we said so far in that. The next opinion is Tosfos. In 2 places, you sort of have to put them together to make it make sense. Or the first is Tosfos in Sukkah Daf Lamed Tes Amud Beis. Vomer Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam says, the paros min hameshumar asrinan, that all guarded fruit is prohibited. Kedarshinan b'Torahs Kohanim, like we learned in the Sifra, v'yasin ve'i niziricha lo tevtzor. Your grapes you will not harvest. Min hamufkar atabotzer, but from what is ownerless you can harvest. Iatabotzer min hameshumar, but you cannot harvest from which is guarded. The niziricha mashma the nizir mehem b'nei adam. That this is the way that what people normally keep their things in a guarded way, and that would be prohibited. It's another Tosos in Rosh Hashanah Daf Tes Amud Aleph, where Tosos says that all of this is Rabbeinu Tam's opinion. Titania, b'Torahs Kohanim meshumar. We learned that from Torahs Kohanim that you're not allowed to harvest from that which is guarded. Iata botzer. Avalatap botzer mina mufkar, but you can harvest from what's ownerless. Mufkar nami kederech b'tzira aser. And even if you're talking about what's ownerless in the normal way, it's prohibited. V'al yedei shinui she'lo kederech b'tzira mufkar shari. But if I'm harvesting it with a shinui in an abnormal way, and it's been declared ownerless, in that case it's permitted. Umeshumar afilu sheklo kederech b'tzira nami aser. But if it was something that I guarded, I closed the gate, I didn't let other people in to get it, in that case, even if I harvest it with a shinui, it is prohibited. Even though I harvest it in an abnormal way, it's prohibited. Now, we went through these quickly. So in our next lesson, we are going to review all 4 of these opinions and see clearly exactly how they work in all cases, and then we will come to discuss the halacha. This shear is the background.
And I think eventually I need to find out, can I get the insects off of something that is, destroying and eating my crop that actually produced into a second year? Like, I got to learn this stuff right away before those crops are destroyed, in case I can protect them in order to eat them. They do have Kedusha
We'll
sweet.
get to that eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.